light. How funny is
That
that?
is Cliff's underarms, and this is my
That's
face
funny.
and my birthday jacket because it is Torn Tuesday, your weekly dose of all things Lord of the Rings. I'm going to move my camera forward a couple inches, and today is Charles Edward's birthday, and the fans have been celebrating all day. But before we get into that and all the latest
Ah,
news, maybe
yes.
we'll talk about episode 7 of Rings of Power. Let me
What do you
introduce
mean,
the
maybe? Maybe?
writer and producer of Ringers Lord of the Fans, co-author of People's Guide to J.R.R. Tolkien, Mr.
So funny.
Clifford Broadway. Hello, sir.
Greetings and salutations, everyone. It's really quite lovely to see you all together. And as usual, we're here at Torn Tuesday for our weekly dose of mischief and gossip and maybe some actual journalistic reporting. Maybe we'll get some reporting
We
in. We'll
got
get some
all
news
of
your
it.
way.
I've got the
We've got all
gossip.
the above.
You've
Yeah.
got the
What? Oh,
journalism. I've got the
my
gossip.
goodness. But there's a great collection of people. They're coming in from Discord, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, so many platforms, and we can see you all and chat with you all right here. This is the organic live moment where we all get to talk together and share some amazing ideas and confide in one another what kind of feelings we have about this amazing recent episode called Doomed to Die. Wow, what an episode. Season 2, Episode 7 of The Rings of Power. Certainly, it is a very big talking point, a big discussion point, a lot of water cooler conversation at the office, everyone talking about it. And we had to wait until now, Tuesday, live at 5 o'clock Pacific time. And we're so grateful to have you all join us. Welcome aboard. Justin, how are you feeling, sir? Are you good?
I am feeling so
Very good.
festive and celebratory because Charles Edwards is
Mm,
probably my favorite part of the show right now. Uh,
mm.
uh, and it
He
is
is
crazy that
remarkable. His
his
acting is
birthday
amazing. Yeah.
is literally 24 hours away from episode 8, where I don't know the story. I've heard rumors of what's written in the books. I don't want anyone in the chat room spoiling anything, but everyone says, isn't it ironic that we're celebrating his birthday this week on the same week as episode 8?
On the same week of episode 8, which will probably spell out the ultimate fate of the character that was heavily foreshadowed in season 2, episode 1, as you guys may remember. Wow. Yeah, all right. Before we start, you know, going into the news and all the other things, and really we should have an earnest discussion about, how we feel about episode 7. And there's a lot of feelings to talk about, but I do tip my hat, and I'm not even wearing one, tip of the hat to you, Charles Edwards, as a thespian, as a performer, as an interpreter of the written word. You, sir, are a master at what you are doing. Absolutely well deserved. To the accolades and the praise. People might bitch and moan here and there about certain choices that they're making with the story, but no one is in disagreement that the two Charlies, Charlie Vickers, Charles Edwards, you guys are amazing together. And it is just remarkable watching the range of anguished emotions that Celebrimbor is experiencing through this second season. Remarkable stuff. I mean, you, sir, have truly shown your quality. Charles Edwards, happy birthday to you. Wishing you the very best. And thank you for being such an excellent actor and elevating the entire enterprise of the Rings of Power. Well done. Well done to
Well,
you.
let's dive in a little bit. This is some fan art from of
Mm.
Celebrimbor that
Oh,
was
here we go.
posted
That's so
this
cute.
morning,
That's so
um,
cute.
and it is so
It's
cute.
cute.
He's just drinking his tea,
He's just drinking his
in
tea and
his own
relaxing.
lane, completely content with the world. I want his rose-colored glasses. You know what? Remember in the Matrix when Joe Pantoliano was like, "I just want to go back into the Matrix and eat a steak." That's
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
Celebrimbor is right now.
Yeah.
He's in his happy place, and I hope nothing bad happens to him this episode, because he deserves the world. But let's go back a little way, should we, Cliff?
Indeed. Shall we? Yes,
So,
let us.
all right. Celebrimbor is a character that isn't very much featured in Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. And remember, those are the only rights that the Tolkien estate and J.R. Tolkien has licensed. The Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit movies. So it's very, very fun that we're getting a complete characterization of Celebrimbor in this new TV show. Now, this isn't the first time that Celebrimbor's been portrayed in an adaptation. Of course, there's been a ton of artworks. Cliff, would you say that this is a popular vision of what Celebrimbor might have looked like before Rings of Power existed? Is this the mental ideal?
Well, it's, there's a bit of a Frazetta kind of influence going on there. But that artwork has not just a small nominal influence with Frank Frazetta, but yeah, the idea of Celebrimbor being somebody who was under the tutelage of Aule. And maybe he studied under Aule, maybe all those thousands of years ago. We know that Galadriel did. She learned under the tutelage of Aule, who is the father of the dwarves. But yeah, that's a fairly good,
Is this what you pictured before, when Rings of Power was announced and they said we were going to the Second Age? Is this what was in your mind's eye, loosely?
No. I wanted to actually give myself a clean slate. I didn't want to think in terms of all of the Alan Lee and John Howe images I've seen working with Peter Jackson's team. I didn't want to think, oh, really specifically, this is like a Daryl K. Sweet 1980s painting.
Okay, so you were
I wasn't thinking Hildebrandt brothers.
Yeah,
I wasn't thinking. I was really trying to give myself the bandwidth to see what the casting was going to be and see how it was going to go. But yeah, that's not really far off from mainline conventional representations of Celebrimbor. It's not far off.
And of course, this is by artist Angus McBride. This is by artist Jenny Dolphin, who is a well-known Tolkien artist as well. Now, Cliff, here's an interesting one. Here's Celebrimbor with short hair, but still that dark hair. Talk to me a little bit why these two interpretations, and then when we get to the video game Shadow of Mordor, he has long dark hair. Why does Celebrimbor historically have dark hair, whether it's long or short?
I think this is trying to suggest his lineage as being the grandson of Feanor. To me, it really is like they're trying to create a visual representation of him that mirrors his past with his very, very famous grandfather, Feanor, the creator of the Silmarils. That's the suggestion that it leaves me with.
So it was interesting that Charles Edwards comes in with his brown hair, light brown hair, and his short cut. Also, this is Celebrimbor from the Lord of the Rings Online, Lotro, who we talked to the narrative devs just a couple weeks ago.
Yes, we did. Yes.
So, I mean, look at this. We just had two artists and two video games, and they all featured Celebrimbor with black hair, jet black hair. And so this is what Rings of Power and the showrunners J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay decided this is their Celebrimbor. And Cliff, what was your reaction, and what was fandom's reaction when we first saw this?
Well, this is the second casting. The original actor was changed out after they did a bit of shooting. Isn't that true?
Yeah, Tom Budge was a younger actor.
I believe
he was around 25 years old, Tom Budge. And they shot the first 2 or 3 episodes. And, it just wasn't working out for the story that they wanted to tell. So they recast Celebrimbor, and they only reshot some of the scenes. They didn't reshoot all of the scenes. And turns out, by not reshooting all of Celebrimbor's scenes, season 1 felt a little disjointed because they didn't reshoot all of the scenes. And it is our understanding that Celebrimbor originally in season one goes into Khazad-dûm with Elrond, but you don't see that in the final product. So there are many things that happened that affected the narrative of the show and the reviews there henceforth of the show because
Hmm.
Celebrimbor got recast. But Cliff, when were you sold on this version, this new visual version of Celebrimbor?
When was I sold on it? I don't know. I don't know exactly. I haven't thought about it in those terms, Justin. I found myself uh intrigued with Celebrimbor's portrayal in season one, but I also found season one greatly lacking in representation of the other Elven Smiths. Where were all the other Elven Smiths? And I was distracted by the unnecessary Halbrand mystery boxing storyline. So I wasn't really registering the impact of Celebrimbor. And maybe that's to the advantage of season two, is that one would quickly make, oh, he's unassuming. One would make a judgment, maybe, that, oh, look, this Celebrimbor is kind of avuncular, kind of like your funny uncle who's at the party being funny.
Oh,
And,
remember he had a
maybe
chaise
you don't,
lounge and he had green velvet in the
yeah.
chaise
And
lounge.
and and everyone's like, maybe we don't take him so seriously at first. And maybe that's to the advantage of the storytelling that is unfolding in season two, where everything is much, 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 much more dire, and with, the excellent, advancement of the narrative to the point where it is. Um, it's all about how Celebrimbor is playing off of the other character in the room. I mean, Mr. Edwards is not acting in a vacuum. He's completely working with his scene partner, Charlie Vickers, to excellent effect. Um, the kiss notwithstanding. We'll have to talk about that later in the show. But yeah, no, I can't really answer when I was sold, quote unquote, on Celebrimbor. I'm not
Well,
sure how to answer that.
I was sold the minute he walked on screen. He just gave a presence in this cast of very young elves, very young actors. Everyone's young. Morfid's young. Elrond's young. Like, everyone looks young. Even Gil-galad feels kind of young. Charles Edwards walks in on Elvendom in this show, and he's the oldest one in the room up until Círdan the shipwright showed up. But uh, his his recasting is probably the best decision the show ever made.
I would
Uh,
agree. I would agree.
Giving him the lines of wisdom in his face and the experience that only age can give you, of the humanity in living, has
Well,
allowed Charles Edwards to just totally take this character to a place that is maybe going to be uh, very emotional this
uh,
Thursday.
okay, great. That's great. Well, we've got I I had the general feeling through season one that Celebrimbor was certainly taking a back seat to all the drama that was being churned up between Halbrand and Galadriel characters. So I didn't really tune in. Now, in every moment of season two, I find myself direct dialed into Celebrimbor in such a really specific way. And the structure of the writing works exceptionally well with Anatar being revealed in season two, the way that Anatar was revealed. Um, and the ongoing, and until now, until episode seven, the ongoing ruse. The the ruse was watertight. Anatar was fooling the hell out of him and continuing to fool the hell out of everyone else. And That's
got
to
to
the
turn that off, Cliff.
turn what off?
Those thumbs up when you give. I think it's a Mac thing. If you thumbs
I
up the
I didn't
camera,
I didn't I didn't realize I was doing that. But okay, sure. Yeah, there that's Zoom. Zoom just does that. So,
yeah.
um how
Well,
about
real quick, just go through Charles Edwards. I looked him up on IMDb. Of course, he's known for Rings of Power. He was also a player in The Crown. He was in Batman Begins in the boardroom of Wayne Enterprises, and he's in a list called Guys from the Terror. The Terror is a show that was on AMC. It's currently on Netflix. If you guys are not watching The Terror, if you finish Rings of Power this week, I highly, highly, highly recommend. I can't recommend it enough. As if you're looking for something else to watch after you see episode 8, go watch The Terror on Netflix. Half the cast of Rings of Power is in it. Half the cast is in The Terror, and it's an incredible show. Anyway, so
awesome. Well, I first noticed Charles Edwards in The Crown because I inhaled that show. I had my little moment of being an Anglophile, and I had to. I just absorbed all of it, and it was really cool to see Charles Edwards in a small, unassuming role. And that the big quality acting that comes out of Charles Edwards, and I recognize the point that Barrick the horse made in our live chat. Hello, Barrick. But he said that all the payoff we're having now in season 2 with Charles Edwards as a character, as Celebrimbor, wouldn't be such a payoff if they didn't carefully lay the groundwork in season 1. And to that point, I agree. I do, indeed. But I wish Mr. Edwards the very best on his birthday. I wish him absolutely the best celebrations as we
the fans
ultimately.
have been creating fan birthday greetings. You can find them on Twitter and Instagram. Someone in our Discord made this. Happy birthday, Lord Celebrimbor, from Anatar and Mr. Mouse.
And Mr. Mouse.
And in
That's
fact, we got videos
funny.
from some fans that wanted to wish Charles Edwards a very happy birthday. Again, October 1st, Charles Edwards' birthday. Let me see if I can bring up some videos from some of your favorite fellow fans. Let's see, who do we got here?
Hey Charles, happy birthday. Your presence and acting in the Rings of Power is every bit as precious as the rings you create.
Wishing you the happiest birthday from the Tea with Tolkien community. Thank you so much for being our perfect Celebrimbor. Namarie.
Oh, that's so
Oh,
great.
that's super sweet. That's so
That's
cool.
so great. Who else we got here?
Hey Charles, happy birthday.
Oh, wait, we already
Your
seen that
presence and acting in the Rings of Power is every bit as
Wishing you the happiest birthday from the
Happy birthday, Charles. Thank you so much for...
Thank you, Charles Edwards. To me, she'll always.
Happy birthday, Charles. Thank you
Oh, wow,
so
the
much for
videos
bringing so much
are
heart and soul
breaking
to
on
the
me
beloved
right now.
character
Hold on.
of Celebrimbor.
Yeah, the videos are really breaking up. What's happening?
Thank you, Charles Edwards. To me, she'll always be the.
I'm sorry about this, guys. Let's see this. Let's try this again.
I see Kelly. That's awesome.
Happy birthday, Charles. Thank you so much for bringing so much heart and soul to the beloved character of Celebrimbor.
Thank you, Charles Edwards. To me, she'll always be the Celebrimbor. Nai Ruvalle Vanyalasse, Herutel Perinquar Nostarillasse, Naitinko Siriva Taminiliallon, Aresellia Nauva, Iturin Cormaron, Aya Telperinquar, Iquar Telpeo.
Hi Charlie, I just wanted to wish you a very, very happy birthday for today. It's been an absolute treat watching you Rings of Power every week. I do think now Celebrimbor is your best role. Richard II was my favourite, but Brimby, I think, has pipped Richard at the post. It's just phenomenal. You are phenomenal. Especially episode 7. I was sobbing in my office. Goodness knows how I'm going to feel when episode 8 arrives, but yeah, and I'm so glad that millions of people get to watch you be phenomenal as well. Just happy birthday to an amazing actor, a brilliant human being. You're really one of a kind, and yeah. So yeah, happy birthday, Charlie. All the best.
Of course, there he is in Richard II, and that's on Tenor Gifts. So if you search any GIF website, just search for Charles Edwards, Richard II, and you can get him in this GIF celebrating. So happy birthday, happy
That's
birthday,
adorable.
Brimby.
Do we know the identity of the person who left the message with a black screen? Do we know who that is?
Let me see here. I got some
Uh,
DMs from
Compliments for the
Staldar.
rolled R's, the nice rolled R's in that
Yeah.
Elvish.
In our Discord, Staldar, Staldar. So
Oh,
you
very
can,
nice.
you can thank him in the Discord. Staldar. Second part
Very
all of
nice.
it is in Quenya. So good on ya. I don't
Well,
have
I'll
the
say,
patience
very
to
good
learn
on you.
that.
Good on you. Well, there's yes, very happy birthday, excellent, and all the best wishes to Charles Edwards today. Wow.
Oh, wasn't there
So,
some poems? I think there was some poems some fans wrote and posted in
oh,
Discord.
well, how about that? Well, we'll have to look those up. I think that we're burying the lead a bit. I mean, I do wish Mr. Charles Edwards an exceptional birthday.
Listen,
But don't
we're not bearing the
don't.
lead, Cliff, because all the rumors that I have heard is
Mhm.
this is our last time to wish him happy birthday as an active
Yeah,
participant in the show.
yes, that's true. That's true.
I don't want to know
So
too much. We're
you've
24
heard
hours
all
away.
you've heard all about this for years and years, haven't you? It's not
Well,
going to end well. Not going to end well at all. And look at what happened. I was watching the new rock stars on YouTube the other day, and also Screen Crush, and also Emergency Awesome. And I'm watching all these YouTube videos, and everyone's like, "Rest in peace, Merdania." Oh, and that was really sad and brutal. The way that Merdania was knocked off the wall and then chopped up to bits by the Uruk. That was just awful. So rest in peace, Merdania.
Cliff, this whole time I
She was
thought
awesome. But hey,
Celebrimbor's last name was Banner, like Bruce Banner,
oh
the
no,
Incredible
no,
Hulk.
no. That's just cruel internet meme culture
No,
trying
I
to make a
don't
joke
tell
out of
me
it.
anymore. I do. I
Just
have no
cruel.
idea what the word banner means in context of what's about to come. So I'm in my happy little place right now where Banner is just his last name and he's a distant
Okay.
cousin of Bruce Banner, the Incredible Hulk. That's
I would say yes. And so, yes, thank you, Barrick. Amelia Kenworthy. Give a big tip of the hat to Amelia Kenworthy for playing Merdania. She went out like a trooper.
well.
And
I'd say before we get into a full episode 7 thing, because I know you have thoughts. We have breaking
don't
news.
we all?
Cliff. We have
Don't we all?
breaking
Yes.
news on season.
Oh, I'm sure we do.
3, on season 3.
Tell me, what's the breaking news?
But before we get to that, we've got another announcement. The Tolkien
Oh,
Society has
this is
announced
huge.
the Christopher Tolkien Centenary Conference. Cliff,
Centenary.
you said centenary. Well, you speak better than me. You tell people what this is about.
Oh, well, the Centenary Conference is operationally bringing us to the 100-year celebration of Christopher Tolkien. And if I'm checking my dates wrong or right,
The
he
son
would,
of J.R.R. Tolkien and the
of course,
long time Iron Fist controlling figure.
and the editor, the
in
main editor of all of his posthumous works, right?
Yes, including the
And
Silmarillion and
yes,
Unfinished Tales and
totally.
everything after.
I just got the feeling that this is he was born November 21st, 1924. So this would have been his 100th birthday in this November of 2024. And this amazing conference that they're putting together, actually, I got in contact with some of the nice folks working behind the scenes there at the Tolkien Society, and they've offered to send one of their best and brightest to come and join us on Torn Tuesday in November and talk about the late, great Christopher Tolkien and his
Great.
innumerable contributions to Tolkien scholarship. And when I say innumerable, you can't even begin to count how much Tolkien scholarship exists right in front of us, incredibly because of one man. I mean, he was a one-man army in his
Only
effort
one man.
to find and access so many manuscripts and to translate them and to work through the scribbly notes on the margins and to think about what his father had drafted earlier versus what his father had drafted later and to do comparative um, analysis between all the different drafts and give us this amazing body of posthumous work that we're all enjoying. I mean, you pick up that amazing copy of the Downfall of Numenor, which was very smartly edited by Brian Sibley, but the first bit of um, being thankful needs to go to Christopher Tolkien for even finding and dredging up these old notes and manuscripts and putting them forward in any published format so that anybody could look at them. And it is thanks to him single-handedly that we have the body of Tolkien scholarship and the level of academic fandom that we have. It's entirely due to Christopher Tolkien.
So
So this upcoming event is a special event to celebrate his contributions and his life. And
on
I'm
his
really looking
100th
forward to this.
birthday.
Yeah,
And
on his 100th
it
birthday,
is an
yes.
online 2-day event. You can register at
Yes.
tolkiensociety.org. I had a little trouble finding it on their website. And the secret is you go the Tolkien Society website, click on menu, click on events,
Mm-hmm.
and it's right there at the top. I
Other events.
I
Very
couldn't
good.
even find it on their homepage, but I'm a blind guy. So the TolkienSociety.org, TolkienSociety.org. Click on menu, events, and then there it is, the Christopher Tolkien Centenary Conference.
Centenary.
You can register there, and they have a current list of speakers, including John Garth, Sarah Brown, Dimitra Feeney, Alan Lee, Ted Naismith, Robin Reed, Brian Sibley, James Tauber, Chris Smith.
Oh, wow.
Huge,
Wow, what a collection of luminaries. Now, this
and
is an
it's
online
growing
event
every
that
day.
everyone can attend online. They don't have to get their passport renewed and go all the way to England. You can actually do it online and enjoy it. It's going to be fabulous.
Cliff, and they're doing this because it is Christopher Tolkien's 100th birthday. Rest in peace. He didn't
Yeah.
quite make it to 100, but guess who made it to 100 today?
President Jimmy Carter made it to 100
President
years
Jimmy Carter is 100
Mhm.
years old.
Bless
So
his heart. Can't
so
believe it. He's actually
it-
made it to 100.
it is
Wow.
it is the year 2024, which means he was born in 1924.
That's
Cliff, what is the
right,
right age?
1924.
What is the right age to start reading Tolkien?
12.
Guess how old Jimmy Carter was in 1937 when The Hobbit was first published.
He was 12, right?
He got to see Tolkien come from nothing and
Wow. Yes.
be the grandfather of modern fantasy. In President Jimmy Carter's life, he watched as Tolkien took over the entire fantasy myth-making genre. And,
Oh yeah. Yes, he was there for that.
Jimmy
Yeah.
Carter was in politics during the hippie movement when everybody was like Gandalf for president. That was during
Yep.
Jimmy Carter's 76 run for president. Everyone's like, vote for Bilbo. Frodo lives. Vote for Gandalf. That happened during Jimmy Carter's candidacy.
That's funny.
I wonder if we have any. I didn't have time to do any research. I wonder if there's any comments that Jimmy Carter ever made mentioning Lord of the Rings or Tolkien. Because
Well, I'm curious, but I've never seen any. Never
can
seen
you
any.
imagine living through the entire Lord of the Rings, everything from its first publication for a book for 12-year-olds, and you're 12 and you're the perfect target market. You're the perfect
Wow.
person at the right age to consume, to read this
The
new
Hobbit.
author.
Wow. Yeah. Well, how about that? I mean, The Hobbit was a big, big, big hit in the United Kingdom. I'm not sure how long before it became an equally big children's book bestseller in the Americas. Probably not too long. But yeah, you're right. You're right. The time frame is exactly the right time frame. Isn't
So
that funny?
100. It's a big year for 100-year birthdays. Christopher Tolkien celebrating in November. Now, before we get to the season 3 gossip that we have, Cliff, did you see the wonderful interview that Nerd of the Rings did with King
That was
Aragorn?
so good. That was so good. Yeah, you mean King
Oh,
Elisar.
King.
He was
See what
he was
I mean?
referred to as Elisar
He's
after
King
he was
Strider to me.
after he was crowned king. He was Elisar. And yeah, well, I know that Samwise still called him Strider, but Matt, Nerd of the Rings, pulled out all the stops and had a really great interview with Vigo. That was good stuff. I hope everybody goes over there to see it.
There's one comment that I saw trending on Twitter from this interview. I got his permission. I thought we would play it because Matt. Well, let's just let Matt ask.
If you were approached, what kinds of things would you be looking for in a story for it to be something that you would be interested in signing on for?
Well, I mean, generally speaking, I would like it to feel like a Tolkien story, the look and feel of it. But first of all, the way it reads, that it feels connected, consistent with what Tolkien was writing about, his source material, what he was trying to say, And I would think that the people, if it's Peter Jackson and Fran Walsh, Philippa Boyens, and people like that who are behind this, in some way, even if they're not directing one of those stories, they're going to make sure that it has that feel. I mean, they certainly got the look and feel of Tolkien. It felt right, even though they did some things that weren't in the Lord of the Rings. The look and feel of everything they did was respectful of Tolkien's storytelling, I think. And so it would be that first and foremost.
All right.
Cliff.
Nice.
That's the bar has been raised. He's basically said, here's what I'm looking for.
It's amazing.
You want me?
He didn't say no. He did not immediately say no. You're right, Justin. You read between the lines and you realize that he's saying, yes, I would do it if factors X, Y, and Z are met. And that's really fascinating. Fascinating take.
The next question I have for you, Cliff, they've already announced that Andy Serkis will be directing a movie produced and co-written by Philippa Boyens, Fran Walsh, Peter Jackson, and Phoebe, Philippa's daughter.
Yes.
Can you do the Hunt for Gollum without Vigo?
Ooh, what a question. Can you do the Hunt for Gollum without Vigo? I don't know about that. Boy, that's a tough question. In my estimation, I'd be thrilled to have him on as second unit director or as, Andy's going to direct. But the reason why Andy got the chance to learn how to direct firsthand was because Peter Jackson let him work as second unit director on the Hobbit trilogy. And we already know what an exceptionally good film director Vigo already is. So I don't think he would need to cut his teeth on anything. He could come right on in and go straight to work.
Right on in and be a team player.
He could come right in and instantly be a team player and know exactly what to do. So
we already know that
Ian
McKellen has been approached. I mean, Ian McKellen is the one that spoiled that they're working on 2 movies for the Hunt for Gollum.
He did.
Right?
He did spoil that.
So
yes, he did.
Does it work if Ian is back as Gandalf, but Vigo is not as Strider?
Do you want to look at the de-aging CGI through the whole movie? Justin, let me ask you that.
I don't think he needs any de-aging. That man is as perfect as Strider as he has ever been.
No, he looks different now. Look at how
No.
different Orlando Bloom looked in the Hobbit trilogy compared to when he was just
So you want it
19
to be
years old.
recast?
Uh, I, th- I'm not saying that. I'm just saying we should all be open to that. We should be more open to that than we're letting on. I'm open to that. If you get Vigo directing instead of just acting in front of the camera, you're still getting Vigo as an artist, full on. So you see the payoff.
Well, I am excited. I am excited that Matt asked this question. It's on everybody's mind, and Vigo is like,
Jordan Rennells is here from a long expected soundscape, and in the chat he says Vigo looks way younger in the trilogy, way different now. And that's a point that really, thank you for acknowledging that point, Jordan. But really,
de-aging is getting better. Deep fakes are getting better. And guys, we've been covering Peter Jackson's technical ability for the last 20 years. He won an Emmy for the Beatles doc. He has the best in class technology for facial replacement. Weta Digital was hired to replace the actor's face in the Fast and the Furious franchise when the actor suddenly died in that car crash. Paul Walker. His brother played the rest of the movie, and Weta Digital was hired for the face replacement, and you wouldn't even notice. Of course, Weta Digital won Oscars for the Avatar movies and Avatar sequels. Weta Digital are the masters at this stuff. If anyone can do it, Weta can do it. And the AI and the deepfake stuff is getting better all the time. I have no doubt if they fed in all of Viggo Mortensen's footage from 25 years ago, and he performs it with his body now, and they do that computer, I'm telling you, I'm on board with that use of AI.
I'm not so sure.
Andy Serkis has said he's okay with AI as well. We reported that last week.
I appreciate that point, Justin, but I'm going to read what Monica said in the chat. And she says, I'm going to weigh in here. I love my LOTR movie actors, but I think they should all be recast. I think this new movie should be its own thing with a new look as far as actors go. I'm with you on that. So I'm in the camp of please don't distract me with Uncanny Valley attempts to do de-aging process on an actor. But it's okay if Gandalf looks old and crinkly. It is not okay to do a version of Aragorn that's supposed to be 60 years younger, and he ends up looking 60 years older.
And he's in his Strider era. He's in his Ranger era.
Yeah. So, hey, it's okay.
But Cliff,
anyways,
what if Orlando Bloom is back as Legolas and Vigo's back as Aragorn? So all of the actors in The Hunt for Gollum are all aged they only look out of place if someone is younger.
Barrack has the right idea. Have bookends to the story. And that is older King Elisar played by older existing Vigo as he is at current age, telling a story, and then we flash back. And they're going to use that element with the animated film War of the Rohirrim. That's going to happen, where the story is told in flashback, but there'll be the Miranda Otto saying, "Do you remember when? Come on, kids. Gather around the campfire while I pull out my guitar, and we're going to tell you a story." And I can see King Elisar, and you'll get your Viggo Mortensen as King Elisar, and everyone would be very happy to see that. But you'd go back in time and be like, "Oh, it's Sebastian Stan or some other actor who's playing younger Strider." We could do that too.
Sebastian, I'm on board with Sebastian Stan. But Cliff,
or something like that. I don't know. I'm just
the important thing is what Vigo just said is that the most important thing to him is, does it feel like Tolkien?
Does it feel like Tolkien? Yes. Well, and that brings us right into the conversation of episode 7. of the
Well,
Rings of Power.
and season 3, Cliff, this is breaking news. Rings of Power season 3.
Oh, look at
in
that.
an interview with Radio Times, they call her the boss. She is just a hired director. The showrunners have not said anything. The showrunners have just said, let them cook. But Charlotte Brandstrom, who directed episode 1 and 2, 7 and 8, has said there'll be good news soon. As we've been reporting, Amazon is committed to 5 seasons. They signed a contract with the Tolkien Estate for 5 seasons. The Tolkien Estate was very specific about not being shortchanged on the commitment. The Tolkien Estate did not want to get burned like they did on the Hobbit movies, where Guillermo del Toro had to leave the project because the movie just wasn't getting made.
Right.
So the Tolkien Estate and the Amazon have a 5-season commitment. The show isn't getting canceled. Secondly, Amazon has said numerous times in the last year, season 3 is definitely a go. The showrunners have said, let them cook. And Cliff, we have breaking news.
Here it is.
We have season 3 writers. The writers' room is assembled. They are currently writing season 3. This is breaking news to me. As you know, I've been maybe a little bit pessimistic, more than I should be. But the season 3 writers' room has commenced, according to Night Edge Media. And it includes the writers of The Crown. They spelled The Crowns wrong. Jonathan Wilson from The Crown is in... Wow, and of course they pull a picture of Charles Edwards from... No, that's Matt Smith. They didn't even pull a picture of Charles Edwards from The Crown. So Night Edge Media is saying that Jonathan Wilson, who is known for The Crown and River City, has joined the season 3. Let's look at his credits. He's only worked on 2 shows ever, The Crown and River City. He's got nothing else to his name. So before we go on to the next name, Cliff.
Yeah, but you can't even count how many Golden Globe Awards and Primetime Emmy Awards The Crown has won overall. You can't even count.
Night Edge Media also says Ben Tago. Hope I'm saying that right. Ben Tago has joined the season 3 writers' room. He, of course, is known for EastEnders and Coronation Street. Cliff, I remember watching EastEnders back in the day. Did you ever get into Coronation Street?
No, I didn't.
Very much
sadly.
Very much British TV.
I missed out on that entirely.
He only did 1 episode of EastEnders. He's mostly known for Coronation Street, doing 32 episodes of Coronation Street. So, and then, of course, a third name in the writer's room, Nick Adams. Nick Adams, he did some cleanup work on season 2, and he most recently did Fail State. And that's all he's done. He's only done, again, another guy that's done 2 shows to his name, Fail State and Lord of the Rings. So there you have it.
All right.
3 new writers are joining J.D. Payne, Patrick McKay, and of course Helen Chang, one of our favorite writers and the writer of the episode with that epic 20-minute horse scene at the beginning of episode 3. She did episode 3.
With Beric running around and killing Oryx, looking for his missing guardian, Isildur. Yeah, that was fun. Very fun, by the way.
So, Cliff, let's get your opinion on The Crown. Is this the right type of show that you expected going into season 3?
Yeah, sure. The people who wrote The Crown are masterfully able to mix historical, documented incident with fiction. And it's quite a hybrid blend. And it turns out to be one of the most satisfying pieces of dramatic writing that have come out of Netflix in forever. Really good stuff. So I'm all for this. This is great.
So
All for
you
it.
season 3 is expected to be about the fall of Numenor. Is The Crown the right experience that you would want to see in that writer's room when we're talking about going deep on the Numenor storyline?
Absolutely. Sure. If you're talking about a long reigning monarch who, in The Crown, the story is about a very, very long reigning monarch who struggles with her own self-worth and her self-identity measured against her duties that she has to perform for the monarchy versus her desire to be an individual woman with her own agency and her own life. So I'd be totally down to see writers who can talk about people caught up in the machinations of a huge royal monarchical system, and then they inevitably find themselves wanting to break free of it, and some of them do, especially with uh, the great gulf of understanding that will appear to divide the faithful and the kingsmen. And there will be a very, very wide intellectual and metaphysical gulf of understanding between all these people under the banner of the same kingdom of Numenor. And this is going to be all about the civil strife, the civil war, and the spiritual breakdown of an entire kingdom of people under Sauron's influence. Uh, totally down with these writers coming in to bring that energy. I'm down. It doesn't
What
really
should
doesn't find an exact analog in the story of Queen Elizabeth II. It does not find an analog, but it does find similarities in that you're looking at the lives of people who inevitably have to change everything about who they are because of their contact with the monarchy.
Well,
And so it goes.
That's great to hear. That's great to hear. What gives many fans pause as I'm reading the chat room is these other writers who are famous for EastEnders and Coronation Street and Fail State, and of course The Crown and River City. These are all very much in the mold of British soap opera, very much drama, like classic TV British drama. This is a much different writer's room than the first two seasons, where we had Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, Hannibal, Game of Thrones. You get what I'm saying? Those shows,
Sure.
the writers from those other shows that came in on the first two seasons of Rings of Power are way different than British soap opera of these three new writers. So, do you think this is the first sign that there will be a tone shift in the show? And is that something you're expecting?
That's if you're assuming the
Numenor
writers
is a different
can't.
story.
That's only, Justin, if you're assuming that the writers can't change their voice and their tone of work from one project to another. And I don't know.
Fair.
I don't know that you would assume that. I think that these writers are being hired because they're local, they're in Britain, they happen to be right there. They don't need to be flown in from another part of the world. They're there already in the UK, and they've got lots of Emmy Awards and Golden Globe Awards under their belt working on shows like The Crown. But you're not taking a soap opera approach to The Crown. They never did. I mean, it's not. It's not the same.
They played it straight.
They played it like that movie that Peter Morgan did with Helen Mirren, The Queen. And Peter Morgan created The Crown as an adaptation of his own stage play that he wrote first before it became a television series.
Just win an Emmy
it was a play
a week ago.
Yeah, the lady who played Princess Diana also won the Emmy Award for playing Diana.
A very famous figure. I mean, what shoes to fill, and the writing leads to a great performance, leads to an Emmy.
It sure does. That's true. Well, go for it. I say that the Rings of Power can only be strengthened by having perhaps what you'd call Anglo-centric writers. that can only help, I guess, if you're speaking in very broad terms about this. But let's go onward. Now that we've talked about this, congratulations to Jonathan and the other people joining the writers' room. I look forward to what you are coming up with, and I really am, really eager to see what happens in season 3. But we need to reckon with what's happening in season 2 right now, and we've been on the air for over 50 minutes, and we haven't talked about it. So let's go. Let's not waste any more time. We've been on the air for over 50 minutes, and we haven't talked about episode 7. So let's talk about episode 7, shall we?
Well, let's not bury the lead then, Cliff.
We did for over 45, 50 minutes. We did.
No,
let's
that
talk
was
now.
genuine news. The bearing the lead is talking about anything else in the episode except the kiss. And
Okay.
like many things in this show,
Okay.
they have a solid show. It looks great. It looks like $1 billion on screen. The episode was almost perfect television. But then
Almost
they
perfect
always
television.
throw in one stupid thing that is so lore breaking that it distracts from everything else. They like throw away all of the goodwill of the entire production by making a silly creative decision. On season 1, it was the Mithril. It was like, cool, great, lore, we're on board, and then you just go apocryphal. And that's what happened here with the kiss. And there's no other way to read it, because look at this quote from Robert Arameo himself. It says, the intention was to be controversial.
Was it now?
We're returning to Lost style filmmaking. Now, obviously, McPain have only ever had one job in their career, and that was working as writer's assistants for J.J. Abrams. J.J. Abrams famously was the creator and showrunner of Lost. J.J. Abrams is the guy that is that everyone attributes to the idea of a mystery box. And J.J. Abrams is the guy that said, we have to outsmart the fans. They know they're guessing our plan too early. And everybody got frustrated with that show because the writers' room decided to do things differently than originally planned to mess with the audience. And right here, we have our first official taste of that, with Robert Arameo confirming the intention was to be controversial. That's my opinion of it. Robert Arameo confirmed it. I hope, Cliff, you have a different opinion on it. I don't have much more to say on it.
Well, thank you, Justin, for sharing those thoughts. I respect and understand where you're coming from. Thank you. Jordan in the chat says, this objectively is not lore breaking. Stupid and poorly done, but it isn't lore breaking. I think it's important to make that very clear in my mind. Susan says it's such a nothing burger. And Laswen says it was not a romantic kiss. And, look, Rita says it's ridiculous. Monica says, I cringed when the kiss happened. So mission accomplished, showrunners. And Otaku Senpai says it was less controversial than it was cringe. Now let's talk about all these varying viewpoints with everyone, but I'll give you mine. I'll give you my basic viewpoint. And oh yes, Paul. Yes, what did you say, Paul? A kiss on the cheek would have worked out well. Do you know what I was thinking, Paul? The same thing. Overall, episode 7, and it is a culmination of the excellent work they've been doing all throughout season 2 to remarkably improve on season 1. So I will admit I'm way more entertained than season 1. I'm way more into it than season 1. I'm really enjoying, for pure entertainment value, that this show is not usable or representative as a teaching tool to teach anybody about the lore in the books. It's not useful for that. It's very useful and very successful as invigorating entertainment, which is large scale and beautifully crafted. And especially so much of season 2 and so much of episode 7 was beautifully, beautifully crafted. Hello, Charlotte Brandstrom. Nice to meet you all over again, directing episode 7 with panache. The battle engines, the siege engines, the the take on the mind ripping, crazy stuff that's happening in Celebrimbor's mind. So much good stuff happening. And then all of a sudden, after earning the goodwill of the audience through all these remarkable improvements in season 2, and then you have this moment, which, in the words of Tolkien professor Corey, just going to say the same thing that Tolkien professor said. It's not helpful. This kiss is not helpful. And just like other people in the chat are saying, I would have been just fine if he kissed her on the cheek, or rather, if he had gone down on his knees and kissed her hand, and at the same time he was holding her hand to kiss her hand, he was able to secretly put the brooch with its backing pin into her hand at the moment he kissed her hand. That would have worked way better for me. But the temptation to put this controversial kiss into the show when you're kissing your mother-in-law begs the question, why aren't the characters already on stage that represent Galadriel's husband? What about Galadriel's daughter? What about Elrond's wife? Why wouldn't these characters have all been on stage a way, way, way long time ago so that we could have understood the very emotional, familial bond? It is not a romantic bond. It's a familial bond between Elrond and Galadriel. Why we should have had Celebrian on hand such a long time ago, and then all the context of him going on his knee and saying, "Forgive me," and Galadriel, "Forgive me," and he takes her by the hand, kisses her hand. At the same time, they're not looking, and he slips the brooch into her hand. That would have worked a million times better without courting the controversy. Now, let's talk on the side about why the showrunners would desire in any way to court controversy when they've already got enough. They've got enough naysayers pounding on their backs already. Why
Right.
would they try to introduce anything more that would distract people any more from the legitimate accomplishments that they've managed to succeed with in season 2? I am more puzzled. I'm not bothered by it as much as I am left scratching my head and trying to figure out why. Why on earth make this decision? A
Hold
very
that
interesting
thought
side
on-
note, but hold the thought that Glug or Grog or whatever his name is, he says to Adar, he's unarmed. But he just looked at Elrond take the brooch off of his shoulder, and he looks at it, and he's got the knife at Galadriel's neck, and he says to
He's
Adar,
right there with a knife.
he's unarmed. But no. He's saying that Elrond is unarmed. But
I know.
Glug is looking at it and is obviously, if you look at his eyes, his eye line, he looks down to Elrond's hand and he knows that the brooch is in his hand. It's been pulled off right in front of him. Adar didn't see it. So, you get this weird side feeling that mutiny on the Bounty is about to happen. We're
I
entering
didn't
into a
get
whole new
that.
chapter of, oh
What?
yeah, there's been seeds of mutiny. The Uruks are all of them going to mutiny against Adar,
Well, you're
and
you're
that
going,
will be to Sauron's
you're,
advantage.
you're going where I don't want to go. Not
What,
72 hours
speculating
later.
on episode 8? Okay,
Not
seriously.
72 hours after the Rings of Power episode. I was just playing you a clip from The Penguin on HBO, which is setting
Oh, dear.
records for, and it's on its second episode. There was almost the same exact scene in The Penguin episode 2. There is a group environment. Someone is being, they got to find the guy with the knife, and Penguin is trying to hide the fact that he has a knife, and he has to plant the knife on someone else without anybody else knowing in a room full of adversaries. So almost the entire construct of the scene is the same in the Penguin. But I can tell you what, the Penguin show did it way better. And I just showed you some of it without the audio. But, you see Penguin, pull the knife from his pocket, and then he's about to, scuffle with someone else, and then in that scuffle, as people were taking him off, he plants the knife. There are there are different ways to plant the knife, and it's a classic movie trope to plant the knife in a room full of adversaries, right? Classic movie stuff. The Cliff, I think I texted you as soon as I saw the episode. My first reaction to that scene was, here's how they could have played it. Elrond walks up to Galadriel. They've been fighting the whole season. The season starts with a horse chase, not a friendly love meet horse chase. Like Elrond's on the run, Galadriel's chasing him, and then the roles reversed. Elrond gets put as commander of the squad. Galadriel has to report to him. Throughout season 2, Elrond has been at odds with Galadriel. Would you agree with that, Cliff? They've been at odds.
Yep, they were presented early on in season 2 as being very much at odds with each other, and now suddenly he's kissing her.
See, that's what it betrays the character development of the show. Never mind the Tolkien and the lore. It betrays the character development of the own show.
If you had already established that Galadriel was his mother-in-law, and if you had it established a long time ago, Elrond was happily married to Celebrimbor, then you wouldn't have needed. I mean, I understand it was not a romantic
Celeborn's
kiss.
Dead. The show has decided Celeborn's dead. So let's just move on.
Maybe.
That's
but
all
that
we've
change.
been introduced.
Thank you, but that doesn't. Justin, please don't step on my sentence, my dear boy. I love you to death, but please let me finish my sentence. You know I love you, but let me talk, okay? The man should have been on stage as her husband, and her daughter should have been married to Elrond a long, long, long time ago. That's just all I've got to say about that. Now, it would have benefited the series. It would have benefited the tension. The tension would have been, they're not just friends. Elrond and Galadriel having all kinds of tension and difficulties in season 2 would have been greatly supported by a foundation of them having a familial, marital obligation because she is his mother-in-law. Don't you think that would have fed the drama? Yes or no?
I don't know about that. There is something that you said.
It would have fed the drama.
There's something you
would have
said
fed the drama
at the end of season 1 that is coming to mind right now, Cliff. Remember what we had talked about season 1 offline? This show
I think
so. This show feels like the main character was supposed to be Celebrimbor. And this scene works if Galadriel is not the main character. And it's
Celebrimbor instead.
And it's Celebrimbor. Celebrimbor is the girl that's put on the boat. Celebrimbor is the one that jumps off the boat. Celebrimbor is too young to understand, Sauron and power. Celebrimbor is fooled. Celebrimbor is the one that get kissed. There's so many reasons why this show almost feels like the whole thing should have been Celebrimbor, not Galadriel. But in context of the show that we got, the scene would have worked better if Galadriel is the one that made the kiss. And let me explain.
Okay, all right, okay.
She's chained up to the chair, right? She's chained up on the wall. And Elrond, we've already established that they've been fighting the whole season. They've been at odds, not fighting. They've been at odds the whole season, Elrond and Galadriel. So Elrond, he's making a choice not to do business with Adar, and he's dooming everybody to their fate. So he turns around to say his final goodbyes, and he's a friend. He's just a friend. He's like, I'm sorry, I'm doing this, but it's for your own good. I cannot give him the ring, blah, blah, blah. Galadriel, as the faces get closer together, Galadriel's the one that says, kiss me, you fool. and she in her chains like reaches in, kisses him, catches him off guard, and that's when, and the orcs turn away because love. There's something about the idea of love is and friendship, and you know, Sauron doesn't love anything bad. The bad guys don't love, the good guys love. And maybe something about the kiss is disgusting to the orcs, and maybe Adar turns away because of the shock, and that's when he slips the knife to her. But by the big thing the big issue I have with this is Galadriel is one of the most precious, beautiful, powerful beings in all of fantasy literature for how many years? For 100 years. Galadriel is so powerful, so beautiful, so intimidating that just a strand of her hair is enough to enrapture Gimli. She is the elves, okay? She is the elves. The first time we've ever seen the most powerful elf in the history of Middle-earth, the one that can defeat Sauron, the first time we see her kiss is not in Peter Jackson's movies, is not in J.R.R. Tolkien's books. The first time we've ever seen her kiss, and it's not even of her own agency. She is not making the decision to make the kiss. She is being kissed against her wishes. The show has not set up anything about her receiving this kiss or expecting to receive this kiss.
I understand that point.
It is against her agency, and I disapprove of this kiss by the fact that Galadriel, as important as she is, should have full agency of her sexual being. I don't know what else to say. And this goes against that.
Well, how about the idea? That's a very interesting line of thought on that. I'll give you that, but I also want to add to your point. It really is the first time we've ever seen Galadriel have a kiss, because she didn't kiss Martin Sokas, who played Celeborn in the original trilogy, and we have yet to see her realize that her husband is not dead. Her husband is alive, and has been alive and purposefully kept off stage the whole time.
Hickey says,
she does kiss Frodo.
That's what I'm
saying.
She
kisses Frodo on the forehead.
Does the kissing. She is the alpha of Middle Earth.
I get that point.
She is the elf. She is the alpha.
She's the alpha elf. The alpha elf.
She is the Dark Queen on a if she made a different choice. She kissed Frodo on the forehead. She should be making the agency, and that's why that's why this decision is so unnerving to everyone. Even the Unhinged Fellowship, the number one fans of the show, bar none, the first fandom of Rings of Power, almost everyone in the Unhinged Fellowship on Twitter was, that's wrong, that's gross, what have the showrunners done? And then that Robert Aramail confirms in the press, oh, we did it on purpose, just for the kicks, just for the lulls. It's exhausting, dude.
Also, all right, but didn't Gandalf get a kiss from her in Dol Guldur in the Hobbit film? Yeah, Otaku Senpai, good point.
She did the kissing once again.
Yeah, but all right,
she
then that's
should
just
always be
that was to correct our statement of this being the first time we've ever seen her kiss anybody. But so it's the third time. It's the third time then. But the purpose of my point is that I have been able to get past all of my grumpy pants about season one. Really, I've gotten past all of my grumpy pants moments. And I had quite a few moments about season one that made me particularly grumpy pants. And I loved Khazad-dûm, and I loved what was going on with Prince, Durin, and Disa, and Elrond. And I really kind of appreciated, the amazing effects work and the beautiful art design and Arondir being so lovelorn and that look in his eyes. And I really appreciated some things about season one, but season two is so much better and was really starting to win me over at what an accomplishment. Let's talk about the large scale accomplishment that the show has achieved in the shadow of its own footsteps from season one. However, clumsy or not, season one may have been beautifully done, and to some people, it was just mishandled a little bit here and there in terms of narrative. But I got nothing to say about season two except, wow, what an improvement. I'm really amazed at Anatar, Celebrimbor, and oh, let them cook. Let them go. This is fascinating. I know that it's hundreds of years off base. I know that the Balrog is not going to be awakened in the Second Age, or he's not supposed to be awakened. And I can kind of settle down a little bit and realize, oh, they are, the showrunners, they really are playing fast and loose with Tolkien just so that they can get an amalgam of ideas, a pastiche of ideas, and get the television show going with the engine that a television show is supposed to have to keep the engine running on all cylinders. And I have described this before as a pastiche, and I will do it again. But all the goodwill that they had been earning from me was just maybe too easy to squander with that technical choice of, and here's why. Bear McCreary's music swells up with this beautiful orchestra, sweeping, romantic music.
Everyone
at
in
the
the
moment,
chat
it
room
was
saying
not
it
a
was
romantic
platonic.
kiss.
No,
It was not a romantic kiss, but the music that we got and the way it was shot and the way that Elrond chose to caress her face.
Yes, touches
Okay.
her face.
Is that the kind of distraction that we needed as much as we needed him to
But the
go
music
down on
sells
his
it.
knees and rather just distract everybody by kissing her hand? And you can imagine her reaction any number of ways, because I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure where to go with this, except I really appreciate a lot about the show, but sometimes they make decisions that are so daft I don't quite get it. I don't know.
There's two.
I don't know. What else can I
There's
say?
two things they could have done, and maybe if they do extended edition episodes, they can fix this. And please, if you do extended edition episodes, Amazon, fix this for real. And I'm not even joking. There's two ways you can fix this. One, Elrond kisses her forehead, because when Galadriel kisses Frodo's forehead, there's an implication that she knows she is sending him to his doom. And I think like 10 minutes later, she says it in the dialogue, right? When she's talking with Gandalf or something. We sent him to his doom. Yes, but no. Right? So when Galadriel kisses her... So why doesn't Elrond kiss her forehead? Because him not negotiating with Adar is sending her to her doom. Elrond is sending her to her doom by not negotiating with terrorists. So that's fix number one. Elrond kisses her forehead, and we move on. And there wouldn't be.
But doesn't he say "forgive me"? He looks her in the eyes and says "forgive me," and her response is "win, win."
Sure,
that's all she says to him.
The second thing they could have done, and this would have been more along what I would have liked to do. Look, if they committed to the kiss, I could have been on board with it just for the lulz and for the troll and for the Riverdale aspect. In fact, everybody
we got to talk about Damrod. We got to talk.
Everybody in the Discord was like, "Justin, you finally got your Riverdale moment." Everyone's so disgusted over this kiss, but it's so Riverdale it hurts. I tell you what also would have fixed the kiss.
So
leave the kiss
funny.
in, but when later on when she meets up with Arondir, they kiss on the lips. And then when she meets up with Celebrimbor at the end, they kiss on the lips. In fact, if Celebrimbor and Galadriel kissed on the lips as well, it would show that this is a common thing among elves. The show has decided that elves kiss on the lips when they deeply care platonically and deathlessly about each other. And I think if Celebrimbor kissed Galadriel during his soliloquy at the end, this would have been fixed a little better.
That's an interesting point. I hadn't thought about that. Yes, I agree. After 20 minutes of talking about Kissgate, Lord of the Rings fans have a new hashtag, Kissgate. So we just had that.
Hashtag.
It's Kissgate.
I haven't
We're
even
done
looked it
with
up.
that.
I'm scared.
Okay.
I'm going to look that up tonight, guys.
Do not. No,
Kissgate.
we just made this up now. We made this up just now, Kissgate. But let's examine the beautiful moment between Galadriel and Celebrimbor once he's fully released himself from the shackles by the gruesome self-mutilation of his own thumb just to get out of those shackles. And that Celebrimbor is out there trying to save any lives he can. And he has this face-to-face with Galadriel. And there's a moment of such tenderness and wisdom between both of them. That is when the Rings of Power is at its absolute best. That's when the show is at its best. And I really appreciate that moment where Celebrimbor, in his personal anguish, he has actually said, let's see whose will is the mightier. And oh my gosh, it's just fantastic. That, well, thanks, Otaku. I didn't mean to do that, but you know, I saw you guys saying it. That he cuts off his own thumb because he's been shackled to his freaking desk, and he can't get up until he finishes making these 9 rings under absolute overpowering terror of Sauron standing over him. And yet Celebrimbor has the wherewithal to look him in the eye and say, you are so good at what you do, you even deceive yourself. My hat is off to Charles Edwards. He's so great of an actor. Charles Edwards has brought more meat and potatoes to the role of Celebrimbor than I would have thought. And I'm very, very pleased to say I am fully on board with Celebrimbor. He's been absolute magic. He has made season 2, along with Charlie Vickers, as his foil. The two of them, as thespians, have given us a masterclass in scene study. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of acting classes in LA that are going to be using, you know, when you have to get into a scene study with your partner in class, you've got to work on it for a few weeks and then present it to the whole class. Everyone's going to be thinking about, should we do the Rings of Power scenes between Anatar and Celebrimbor? Because it's so good. It's so good. And on top of the unbelievably cool visualizations of the battle sequence, and that insane hill troll, Damrod, coming through and bashing people and squishing people like King Kong used to step on people and squish them. It's just wild. It's so good. It's so good.
I needed more Damrod this season. Like, you put him in a magazine cover. You did a ton of marketing around Damrod. You gave him his own theme song,
which was great. Oh, that was so cool to hear that
heavy metal
sound of it.
Mishuga, right?
Yeah, I love that.
And then I feel like he needed another scene in another episode. Like, we need more Damrod.
He was kept off screen for quite a lot.
For the amount of marketing that they did and getting his own soundtrack theme song, we didn't get enough Damrod. Like, and again, people in the chat room keep saying this, and we will keep saying it too. This show needs at least 10 episodes a season. Maybe 12, maybe 16.
It does.
Like, we want to live in Middle Earth, and there's so much about Tolkien. There's enough Tolkien in there. So what these 8 episode seasons are doing us a disservice. I want a whole episode around Damrod.
I do. I agree. And you know what? He was really badass and really cool. The whole Damrod thing and the introduction of that music was so cool.
People in the chat want to know your opinion on the hillside damming the river.
Do you know what that reminded me of? Very much it was reminiscent of the sequence in An Unexpected Journey, where Peter Jackson shows the stone giants up in the high mountains, throwing rocks at one another and causing chaos in a mountain storm. It reminded me of that a little
actually,
bit.
it reminded me of the third Hobbit movie when Legolas does his Super Mario thing, when they created a bridge by destroying the tower and the bridge, and they create a bridge around, and he fights Balg.
Yeah, I remember that.
I'm okay with it. I liked it. My suspension of disbelief, destroying the mountain to dam the river, that's fine. It's way better than having a river go uphill into a volcano. I still don't understand how the river went uphill to fall into the volcano.
The river went downhill and across a plateau.
And then
Gorgoroth is a plateau.
And then it goes
And
up
then-
somehow.
And then they had dug the channels to go into a subterranean cavern under Orodruin to hit the lava pools. So, all right, but let's not talk about that.
Right. It was
let's-
it's done better. The destruction, the physical destruction of Middle Earth is being done better this season. That's my opinion.
This episode didn't feature anything from the Stranger or the Harfoots or the Stores. Nothing appeared of Lindon. There were no scenes.
And that's
with
why
any
this
other
episode
characters.
feels better. This is why it's the
In
best rated episode of
Numenor,
the season.
nothing in Pelargir, nothing in Numenor. It was really specifically about this nightmare situation. I mean, the opening of the episode has poor Brimby sipping on a cuppa, and he's relaxing in the sunshine, listening to birds and beautiful view of Eregion across the river. And he's completely inside this delusion that Sauron has made for him. And I felt for him. I really felt badly for him.
Look,
oh my
he's
God,
in
yeah,
his
that
moment.
opening.
He's
Such
in
a
his
classic
moment.
opening. What? And he's shoveling out these crystals of Sauron's dried blood. Oh my God. It was just really cool.
So first off,
It was really cool.
if there is to be merch, Amazon, please, I need that teacup. I just need that teacup.
Oh,
I'm not.
Daisy Kim says the entire Stranger storyline could have been done in 2 episodes, not in 2 seasons.
I agree.
Well, there you go.
I agree.
There you go.
Yeah,
That's
I
an interesting point. Yes.
So Cliff, going into the final episode of the season in 24 hours, what do you hope gets resolved by the end of this season?
I hope that Gandalf, who is not Gandalf, has a freaking name. I hope he has a name.
Do you
That's
hope the
what I
other
really
wizard
want.
gets named as well?
I want these wizards to have names. I want these Istari to have bloody names. That's important to me. I don't think we're going to get it, but I hope that we do. And
Do you think the
ideally,
line of Durin fails?
no, I don't think the line of Durin fails. I don't want to see the Balrog is about to show up in the Second Age, even though he doesn't. It happens hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years later. And, Atalante says Adar must live. You know what? I wonder if Adar will survive into season 3. I wonder. But what I want to see happen in episode 8 to conclude and wrap up season 2, I know that Galadriel has absconded with the 9 rings in a pouch that she's stuffed into her tunic, and she's going to run off. But we also know, we've seen a lot of the marketing and the advertisements where Galadriel is at sword point with Sauron himself. And then they're going to lock a sword and Morgoth's crown. And they're going to have this conversation. And I am afraid that by the end of season 2, Sauron is going to get the better of Galadriel, and he's going to walk off with the 9 rings. He's already got King Durin ready to distribute the other rings to the other 6 dwarven lords. So that distribution system all seems to be happening off screen, way off screen. We're not seeing it, and I hope that we do see some more of it. But I want to see the end of this season with Anatar/Sauron getting that pouch of rings back and we need to see Elrond retreating to the north because he must. He retreats to the north and then he goes off and builds Imladris, which is Rivendell. But let's take a point of lore and let's talk with everybody in the live chat about this for one quick second.
Well,
Doesn't everybody realize that Adar bringing his forces to fight and destroy Eregion is not the same as what happens in the War of the Elves and Sauron? It happens so differently in the show than it does in the books that we need to make one point of clarification. In the books, Sauron comes back to Eregion years later, and he makes war himself, not Adar. Sauron has his own orcs and his own forces, and he makes siege to Ost-in-Ithil and lays waste to Eregion over a matter of many years. But all of this happens after, way after, the pivotal events that are being shown in Rings of Power, the series, where Adar is now fulfilling the part that Sauron would have
with
played
that time compression.
historically.
I don't know what your issue is with the time compression. Look, we got a story to tell. I can't wait 10 years of siege, dude. Like, I'm okay with that.
Because it's after the creation of the One Ring. It's after that. And after Sauron makes his ring, he wants the other rings, and so he makes war to get the rings back. And right now, we have war being made because of a new character. A new character is, Sauron was never within the city limits of Ost-in-Ithil. He wasn't there on the inside while it was being destroyed. And so it's all very topsy-turvy and very different than what happens in the books.
I'm on board with that.
So,
Cliff,
as long as we're clear on that.
What do you think
as long as we're clear on it?
On Twitter right here saying, please don't end season 2 with the same boring rejection as season 1. That a love-struck evil fool is going to get down on one knee again, and we all know it.
Dear.
And we can't watch a repeat of top 10 anime disasters. Give us something else. Do you expect Sauron to make one more overture toward Galadriel?
I know. At this point, no. He's revealed his hand. No, I do not expect that to happen.
I think he will make another overture.
He will? No, actually, I don't.
I think he will.
I don't expect that.
I think he's a little more powerful now, and he'll get into her mind again, and he'll show her, look at everything that we could do together. This is your last chance. That's my theory. But I don't know about that. This tweet and the fandom in general, and you included, basically just said, don't repeat the end of season 1.
Everyone says bury that idea. Please, no. Oh, God, just no. No, everyone says no. Funny. You know what?
Don't repeat season 1.
Don't repeat season 1.
The other thing that Eagle Eye fans notice, Cliff, I need to show you this.
Show me this. Yes, go ahead. What you got?
This is a screenshot of the map from the show.
Okay.
Right? And they take maps very seriously, right? Remember when they didn't have the word Mordor on the map and they put it on a lower third on the screen, when the Southlands?
Yes.
A fan on Discord pointed out this morning.
Zoom in on that.
That, my friends, says Lorien.
It hasn't been founded yet as a kingdom of Lothlorien.
According to the show and the map in the show, it exists already. Cliff, your reaction?
Not yet. Don't pull the trigger on that yet.
It's right there on the map, dude. It's on screen. It says Lorien. It's in the show. It exists.
Well, that's what they get for not hiring me as a lore consultant. That's what you get. When you don't hire Clifford to come in and help you be your consultant.
Why are you frustrated that Lorien exists?
Because Michael Pellerin and New Line Cinema came to me and said, we need you to be our map consultant so we can make these maps for the appendices on the backside of our DVDs. We want to make sure the maps are not quite wrong. And so I actually came in and I worked for a few weeks and I did that job. So having done that job with confidence before, I can tell you with confidence that you wouldn't be having map mistakes like this if you had someone on board.
Do you
tell
think
you,
anything in the show is a mistake?
oh gosh, you're so funny.
Nothing in the show is a mistake.
Lothlorien is the kingdom, and Lorien is the forest. So Lothlorien is not around yet. It says Spartan 343. Is it not true? Okay, you guys are just so funny. It is true.
What? Why are
Okay,
you so
that's
mad
fine.
at this? Please, honestly, Cliff.
I'm not
Cliff,
mad. I'm not
tell
mad.
me why you're mad that Lorien already exists. I want to know why this is frustrating you. Why should not?
It's not frustrating me because I've trained myself to not be so frustrated by the show. By me accepting that the show is its own unique thing. They're doing their own thing, and I'm just going to let them.
Meta.
I'm going to let them do their own thing.
Tell me lore-wise, why shouldn't Lorien exist already?
Okay.
You can't.
Here you go.
Like this
can't
time compression, like, oh, it doesn't exist yet because on a calendar it's not invented for 3,000 years. I'm okay with time compression. Just tell me a good story. So I don't know why you would be frustrated that we already know that Lorien exists north of Fangorn.
Well,
what's the issue with Lorien existing?
If the map would have just been 1,000% more correct if it had said Lorelin Doranan. All it had to say was Lorelin Doranan, and that would have been the name of the forest, not to be confused with the kingdom that Galadriel is going to work to make later on with Nenya her ring. It would have been appropriate because you're looking at that forested area in that land right around the Nimrodel. And, it's just north of Fangorn, and we know it's north of Fangorn Forest. And it should have just been called, there's a couple of different names. There was a second age population of Sindarin elves who enriched the forest, but it wasn't really called Lothlorien. They could have just called it Lorelin Doranan. That would have been fine. And then we wouldn't have anything to complain about. But whatever. That's just me.
Again, this is another example of just a little thing that they've done on purpose that is so easily, doesn't piss off anybody. But the fact, the fact that in that article, the intention was to be controversial. There it is, in black and white. The intention was to be controversial. I don't want that out of my Middle-earth show. I really don't. Just tell us a good story. Throw in some drama. I like the Riverdale stuff, but do it better.
Oh, stop.
Don't do it.
No one wants Riverdale in Rivendell.
Well, we're getting it. We're getting it.
No.
And look at the writers that they hired for season 3. They're all British soap opera writers.
Okay, Katie, I'll do it one more time for you. And I'm going to do it Jordan Rennell's style. Are you ready? I'm going to do my very personal, and this is me honoring you. I'm not making fun of you, Jordan, because I love you to pieces. But this is how you say it. Lorelin Doranan. There you go. Want to hear it one more time? Lorelin Doranan. Not so bad. Anyway, that's my opinion. If they're gonna bother to put names on maps or not put names on maps, the whole thing of the marketing of the show started with a map, and everybody started tripping. They were really tripping because it was Numenor. Oh, look, there's Numenor on the map, and all these other forests were there because it hasn't been deforested yet by the Numenorians. It was, you guys do not, Katie, do not do that. That's very funny, but.
All right. Well, that's all I have to say about the show. We are going to watch episode 8 this Thursday at midnight. We are going to go into Discord and we're going to talk about it. The Discord is open for the first week. Again, remember, we have an episode chat room, so you don't have to get spoiled until you've actually watched the episode. So this weekend, during the weekend, you go into the episode chat room in Discord. and that's where you can talk about the episode and the series
And
as a whole. We are going
indeed,
to
I agree with that. Very
and
good. Let's
next week
respond
we'll
to.
talk
Go
about
ahead.
episode 8 while we
Yes, we
sit
will.
on our thoughts, and then in a few weeks time we're going to revisit this with a clear head, maybe with a full rewatch under our belts, and we're going to grade this season as
We will
it
grade
should
the
be.
entire season. T.D. Matthew, 1989. That was a very good year. Categorizing The Crown as British soap opera is
right.
childish.
Okay.
Guess what? It is not soap opera. The Crown is what I would call, and this is a typical phrase that people in Hollywood use. It's a costume drama, or a
Costume
period drama.
And that's what
it's
Numenor
costume
should
drama.
be.
It's a period drama, and
that's
I really,
what Numenor
really,
should be.
Your
hesitation.
The whole Numenor thing. Yeah, the whole Numenor thing to me is a costume drama, but it has metaphysical and spiritual underpinnings. The meat and potatoes of the Numenor story is spiritual, and if they dial in on that, like they already started to do here in season 2, then they'll have a very good time with it. They'll have a very good time with it. You know what, everybody? Let's ask everyone in the chat. Do you think that the stranger will be given his name in our next episode, episode 8? Do you think, yes or no, the stranger will be given his name? Either by himself, he's going to get it and name himself a name, or is he going to be given a name by Tom Bombadil or by the Dark Wizard, Kieran Hines? I hope that, and yes, I certainly hope Arondir is alive. It looks like Arondir is left for dead, but every time they leave someone for dead in a show like this, they're not really dead. They just leave them for dead.
My final prediction going into season 8, again, I haven't seen it.
Okay.
4 people will die. 4 main characters die, and we will be introduced to something or someone from the movies, the lore, from the books, from the movies, something that everyone's familiar with, someone that's familiar with. I think we're going to be introduced to something or someone at the very end as kind of the button, as a little tease of like,
do you know what?
Stay
That's
tuned
typical.
Next season.
That's how you build tension.
But I think 4 people
in
are
between
dying.
seasons is to introduce some crazy new concept at the last minute and have everybody go gasp. Oh my God, that character, who is that? And then you got to wait for a couple of years for the show to manifest again.
Right.
But you really think four major players are dead? You do?
Yeah, I do.
My prediction is that Adar might be one of those who's gone, and that all of the orcs are going to mutiny, and when the orcs mutiny against Adar, they're going to go and ally themselves with Sauron. So that is my prediction. And I also want to safely predict that Gandalf, not Gandalf, / not wizard, he's definitely going to get a wizard's name. And maybe it will be Alatar or Palando. Maybe
Jeff
we'll be
Bezos
lucky.
did not pay $1 billion to get some blue wizards that nobody's ever heard of. He paid $1 billion for Gandalf and Saruman. That's who they are. Anyway.
Okay.
That's all I have for today, Cliff.
Okay. Well, that's all we have for today. Hey, Finrod84, please let it be Kemen. Yeah, okay. Everyone's like, we wish that one of the 4 major characters who dies would be Kemen. Yeah, well, let's see what happens.
So
there's
remember
a lot
to
going
check
on.
out the TolkienSociety.org. Go to events and register in advance. You can register right now for the Christopher Tolkien Centenary thing. You can go to nerdoftherings.com or Nerd of the Rings on YouTube and watch his wonderful 30-minute interview with Viggo Mortensen. And they're doing a giveaway for some signed Viggo merch. That's pretty cool. Stay to the end. And we will be here next week, won't we?
Yes, here's your Miyazaki minute. It was amazing to go back into the theaters to see Howl's Moving Castle. Again, sold out. Every theater, everywhere in metropolitan Los Angeles. All theaters sold out. All gone. Amazing to see Howl's Moving Castle. And while we're finishing the show, I will recommend The Wild Robot. It is beautiful, very sentimentally done with intelligence and, I mean, emotional intelligence in the wild robot. It's really lovely. Well done, DreamWorks. My hat is off to you. And that means with the boffo box office performance of the wild robot going crazy with box office dollars just on the heels of Inside Out 2 making bonzo box office dollars. It's crazy. It's crazy. So all of this is just preparing us for what is going to happen in less than 3 months. We will have The War of the Rohirrim coming into theaters, and that is also going to be crazy, crazy box office. It's going to be really awesome. Justin, before we leave the show, you might want to come in and help me remind the folks that this coming weekend, we have a big appearance at Los Angeles Comic-Con. So if there's anybody in California, or especially in the Southern California area, come and join us. We're going to be at Los Angeles Comic-Con this weekend. We don't really have a fan table like they do at New York Comic-Con, but we do have a big panel presentation on Sunday afternoon. It's going to be a beautiful, wonderful Comic-Con event. And we're going to see you all there. Come and join us Sunday afternoon. I believe it's at 1 o'clock or 1:30. We'll have our big panel presentation on all things Middle-earth. And we are very excited. We're going to talk about Season 2, Episode 8. We're going to talk about our experiences at LA Comic-Con. We're going to see you all next Tuesday, right here on theonering.net, Torn Tuesday. Give us a follow. Look for us at @theonering.net. Just take out the dot, and you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, and please join our Discord. It's going to be a lovely experience. You all join us there, and we'll continue the spirited conversation. And the excitement is going to continue next week, Tuesday, 5 p.m. Pacific time, right here. Same bat time, same bat channel, right here. And you know me, I'm QuickBeam2000 at Instagram and Twitter, and we'll see you guys there. Justin, thank you so much for pulling the strings and the magical things that you do behind the scenes. Pay no attention to that little man behind the curtain. And this was a really lovely chat. And I hope that we gave a fair amount of balance to our criticism and our praise, because there's a lot of that going hand in hand. I don't know, sometimes I feel like my approach to the Rings of Power is slightly schizophrenic, slightly, because there's so much of it that I really love, and so much of it that I'm just left thinking, oy vey, what's happening? But hey, whatever, that's it. There you go. That's the end of our show. And it's really great to have you all here. Please take care of one another. Be careful. All right. Look out for one another. And one more time, Laura Lindoranan. There you go. Good night and good luck. Or better yet, buenos noches y buena suerte. Bye, everybody.